Hi, this is Sam Stone at New York Comic Con 2022 with CBR with the cast and creator of Velma, coming to HBO Max soon. Guys, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, so happy to be here.
So do you guys remember the first time you ever saw Scooby-Doo?
I do. I very clearly, weirdly.
Like,
do you want me to tell you about it, or you just want to know that I remember it?
Yeah.
For me, it was Scrappy-Doo. That was like, I remember because it was 1979, I think, and that was sort of, I was 5 at the time, and so had just figured out how to like do the TV guide and like the previews of the new shows. So that was sitting down, it was an event in my house, was watching that. I remember it very clearly.
Mindy, do you remember?
It was like, the first time I saw it was when that movie came out 3 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm so young. No, I watched it, well, when I was watching it in the 80s, it was like the reruns of the 1969 version, but I loved it, and my parents heavily monitored what I watched, and I think they thought it was deemed appropriate. But I loved it because it was just so beautiful, you know, and it was, for a little kid, you're like, ooh, it's high schoolers, you know, so yeah, I just loved it, and of course, was particularly attached to Velma.
Well, in terms of like appropriate, one of the things I find striking about Velma is you guys, like, there's always been implied violence in like Scooby-Doo, but like you guys go hardcore. Like there's people that die and not like peacefully in their sleep in this like show.
Yeah.
What was it about kind of painting with those darker, bloodier colors?
Well, we first we knew that we wanted to do an adult animated show, and it felt like these are high schoolers. We love the Velma character. She's always been so smart, so brave. And now it's like, let's raise the stakes, you know, and because we knew it's for adults, let's like have there be high school murders, you know, between like Heathers and Riverdale and Veronica Mars, like, you know, people now have whetted our appetites of like strong high school girls like evading murder and helping their friends, and that just felt really fun to us.
Yeah. And additionally, we wanted to, you know, we love the original. It really is a love letter to the original. We wanted to sort of say, okay, well, Scooby-Doo made me laugh and also really scared me when I was a child. How can I adapt that to an adult audience and try to give them the same level of humor and horror that they experienced as a kid with this new version?
One of the things that's kind of been in the news lately is the idea of like Velma's sexual orientation, and it had been hinted at by James Gunn in the films, and there was always kind of that like fan shipping element of it. What was it about kind of incorporating Velma's sexual identity into this coming of age story?
Well, I think that's kind of the fun of it, that, you know, we get to do as an adult show versus a kid show, is that we don't want to give away too much, but her kind of discovering herself and her identity, and it's her friendships, her relationships, her romantic relationships was really what was really fun about the show. Coming from my other shows, Never Have I Ever and The Sex Lives of College Girls that Charlie worked on, like, we really think that stuff is juicy, and it felt like yet another reason why it was great that this was a modern show.
Well, and to that point, you all have been working together for a long time. Like, how is your creative shorthand now, especially working with something as established as Scooby-Doo and the gang?
Well, I mean, for me, I've been working with Charlie since The Office, and before that he was like on SNL and The Daily Show, so he's just such an incredible joke writer, but also he has a real tenderness for female characters. He worked on the Mindy Project back in the day, so he really gets that voice, and he really gets my voice. So, you know, it was so fun, because, you know, he's the creator of the show, and for him and the staff to adapt kind of a mix, a blend of what he knows I can do with like what's really canonical to Velma.
Charlie, to that point, how do you write to Mindy's strengths?
God, I've just internalized it at this point. It's just now how I think about comedy, is how do I write, you know, what my take is kind of now what Mindy or Velma's take is on a topic. What's nice is, you know, Mindy is so smart and Velma is so smart. And again, you know, as you said, I came up as a topical joke writer. So that's my go-to, is just analyze something, be it a headline, being a situation, and say, okay, what is kind of the smarty pants take on this situation?
And sorry, so much of the show, what Charlie and the staff does is skewer all these like modern issues like feminism, parental relationships, step-parents. Like, it's really great. There's so much pop culture referenced in this, and in a way that is just really delicious. So I can't wait for people to see that.
Well, you know, this Scooby-Doo, it's been around since like the early 70s, maybe late 60s, but with that in mind, what elements did you want to retain, and what elements did you really want to mix up?
Geez, I think we really wanted to, I think the feel of the show, just the comedy mixed with the horror, was very important. I wanted to pay tribute to all of the iconic either items or sayings. I wanted it to mean something when Velma said jinkies for the first time. Where does it come from? Sort of, why is her vision so bad? Just those things that about Velma. It's like, okay, well, let's put story weight behind this. And so it was really trying to keep all those original iconic elements from Velma, but give them their own origin stories.
With Velma being like easily the biggest detective of the group, can we expect to see a kind of a more deductive side of the character instead of just running from like giant robot people?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've nailed it, which is like she's such a great skeptical character, and diving into that more, there's all these spooky things that are happening in Crystal Cove, but she's just so straightforward about it, and that's one of the defining characteristics of her personality.
In terms of character, I mean, this isn't Velma traveling in her groovy van. Like, what is it about Crystal Cove? How did you want to skewer like suburban Americana with this setting?
I love, there's a big nod to, I think, all the great Berlanti teen shows, Stranger Things, Euphoria. I mean, this was another thing we wanted to do with this show, is that we're in such a renaissance of teen dramas right now, and we want to celebrate those as well. And a lot of that is just kind of small town culture that you see it with your smaller, everyone seems to know who the mayor is. Everyone seems to know who the sheriff is. And those elements appeared in the original Scooby-Doo. They seem to be familiar with a lot of people in town, and so really want to keep that alive. And yeah, I think just there is a quaintness and a wholesomeness of the original that we tried to keep in our show as well.
I think I got time for one more, but what can you tease for audiences with Velma coming to HBO Max?
Well, one thing I'm really proud of is the writing staff that Charlie assembled, which is incredibly diverse and like absolutely loves this character and loves this comic story. And I think that that really shines through in the way that she is. I look up to the character. She's so smart, she's so empirical, and she's like longing to fit in. This is a show also about high school and what it's like to get through high school through the lens of this really smart, iconic character. Plus, the voice cast is sick. I cannot wait. I think later today we'll find out. This cast is like absolutely amazing, and I feel honored to be acting with them.
And that's our time. This is Sam Stone with CBR at New York Comic Con 2022. Here with the cast and creator of Velma. Catch it soon on HBO Max. Guys, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.